Lone Star program. Sheriff Boyd is a great example of a constitutional sheriff and what we need here in this country. A little bit about my background, I have this for all of you. I run LEAF. I'm the president of Legislative Energy Action Foundation, a consultation and education-based organization. It's a nonprofit. I am not paid. I run off donations, and if you saw my bank account, you'd understand how laughable it is, because I do not get paid. And additionally, I have the privilege and honor of doing consultation and education with organizations such as the Executive Committee for the State of Texas, where I worked with the legislative priority for security of the grid, where I helped write legislation for the 89th legislative session. I have the honor and privilege of saying that we got 11 bills across the finish line for security of the grid, where the SREC is currently in the process of recognizing me as a distinguished volunteer on this matter. Additionally, I run the security of the Texas grid, which is a subdivision of a national coalition. I work with organizations such as Texas Public Policy Foundation, American Energy Works, and State Armor, as well as Texas Eagle Forum. I also work with the National Coalition, which has Center for Security Policy, has nuclear engineers, retired generals, retired FBI directors, as well as cybersecurity international experts in the Hall of Fame, or cybersecurity operational technology experts that have written patents in this area. The very first page you will see is an investigation that I have successfully activated in the Texas Attorney General's office about battery energy storage program or systems. So I want to cover a little bit about that, some of the things I hear about this, and I'm going to go into that investigation. So some of the key things that I hear in my role is it's private property, they can do what they want. I 100% agree with this. I have 23 acres, don't touch my land, don't tell me what to do with it. Know what you're signing. If you sign a contract with someone for a commercial industrial build, that does not exempt them from having to follow state law. You want to sign a contract to build a chicken coop or a barn or have them come bale your hay for your property, that stays within the confinements of your private property. You sign a contract for a commercial industrial build for public need, public use, and public distribution, it has state requirements, especially in reference to fire standards and safety. When you're protecting people, you can't exempt it because it's on private property. I would never tell anyone to do with their property. I'm just saying, know what you're signing, because you're signing an industrial build contract that has statutes that have to be enforced. And I will go in that's covered in there as well. But that's one of the biggest things I hear. And then additionally, another thing I hear, and this is very significant to me, is, well, we're gonna get this amount of money for the schools, or they're gonna help with training here. We've gotten the training in my county from all of the entities, and what that looks like is our fire chief was told his job is to show up to the site, wait outside the gate for the professionals, and make sure nobody else enters. Who are the professionals? That's your hazmat team. That's who your professionals are. And that might take anywhere from an hour to 4 hours, such as the instance in Kimball County recently. So in this process of waiting for that hazmat team to show up and determine the evacuation area, which by the way is a minimum of 1.3 evacuation, and yes, it has been more, and we're not talking for 1 to 2 hours, we're talking anywhere from 24 hours to 2 weeks, depending on various factors, especially if it rains and keeps it going, okay? And in this process, it is emitting toxic, deadly chemicals, hydrogen fluoride, hydrogen cyanide, carbon monoxide. This is even recognized by Lee Zeldin, the head of the EPA. This is in government documents. This is not made up, this is not new. This can be verified, okay? So this is all very concerning, and I have concerns about this, but my biggest concern is the national security vulnerability, hence the investigation with the Attorney General. So 100% of batteries, there is a monopoly on battery cells. This company, CATL, Contemporary Amperex Technology Limited, they have the corner on the market. There is no other battery cell. You can't go to some other store and purchase a different one. They are the battery cell maker. These are not protected. Matter of fact, you go a step further, you'll see other documents in there. You'll see the prohibited technology list from the governor of Texas that was issued January 30th that put CATL on the prohibited state technology. And then you'll also see the governor's executive order, GA-49, where he acknowledges that our critical infrastructure is under attack by the CCP, Chinese Communist Party, or PLA, People's Liberation Army, because of civil military fusion. What that means is they will use private-public partnerships for military aspects. And that's what CATL is documented for doing. Not only by the state of Texas as the governor, but you'll also find in there the Department of Defense or Department of War's document where they put them on a national security list for prohibited technology. And you'll also find the Department of Justice investigation that led to this in your packet as well. This Department of Justice investigation was based off of Lake Lejeune military base based in West Virginia, where they built a battery storage system and they learned that CATL was operating battery cell. Well, CATL is connected to the highest level of CCP military, which you'll find in that investigation, all the way to Xi Jinping in Beijing directly. So this isn't like low-level military. This is recognized in the highest of highs in all levels of government. So right now, one of the laws that we got passed when you're looking at the governor's prohibited technology list, that was one of the laws we got passed. The Texas Cyber Command did not exist prior to the '89 legislation. It went into effect September 1st, okay? So that is why it's just now moving in this direction. And there are things you can do about this. How do you know if cattle's in your batteries? That's where your job comes in. If you do not have a fire marshal, you'll find in your packet the fire standards and codes and who is responsible. The county commissioner court is responsible for enforcing fire standards and codes. Not feeling qualified, not feeling prepared is not an excuse to avoid state statutes and citizen safety. You can hire out and hire a fire marshal that you feel is better qualified, but it does not omit you from having to do the job. Your job is to ensure that built and unincorporated areas are meeting safety standards and your people are safe. And safety is non-negotiable for your people. Hence the Lone Star program being key. You want to protect your people. And it goes further into explaining how you not enforcing this can be seen as negligence, willful negligence, or malfeasance. So if you're concerned about liability, how's that liability going to look if the state fire marshal comes to investigate a battery fire and you can't show them where you provide and you checked the structure and the codes? In those structures and codes, one of the things you're going to check is, did this pass the containment test, the UL 9540A? In that test, it'll tell you if it stays within the container and if it's safe, but it will also tell you the battery cell owner. The battery cell at that point will tell you it's CATL. And at that point, you report it to the governor and the AG to say, we have a company that's building with prohibited technology in our county. This is a national security threat. This isn't just a threat to your county, this is a threat to the nation, because we have more than 1,000 of these planned in Texas alone. My county is a prime example that you can do something. So the first thing we did is our county, we didn't have a fire marshal for the record when we started. December 2024, we didn't have a fire marshal. My county commissioner court said, what do we do? And they started researching. They found this chapter 352 of the Texas Government Code for Fire Standards and Codes. They investigated it, they drafted their first letter of request and sent it to the company and said, provide us your documents. They did not provide them. They hired a fire marshal in January 2025, sent a document in January, February, and March. Not a single time did they provide proof that they were meeting the fire standards and codes. So our county passed a resolution saying we support our fire marshal in the enforcement of fire standards and codes. Our district attorney went upstairs and filed a restraining order against them because the imminent threat is the battery cell itself. That is the bomb, okay? So as long as you keep that out of your county and ensure that they can meet state law, all you're doing is ensuring they can follow the state law. You're not telling them they can't build, you're just saying, show me my people are safe, okay? That's it. And that was what we put the restraining order against. Until they provided us proof after we asked 4 times that they're meeting that law, we put the restraining order against the batteries. They can do any other site work, but they cannot bring the batteries in until they provide proof that our people are safe. That was passed April 2025. It is now February 2026, and they are now no closer today to meeting that requirement than they were a year ago almost, okay? So what Van Zandt County will be doing on this week, this Wednesday, I will be there, is we are passing a moratorium against all solar, wind, and battery builds until the Attorney General of Texas completes his investigation into national security. Because at the end of the day, it's not about whether or not we like it. It's not about how you feel about it. It's, are the people safe? That's what we're looking at. And if you can't say confidently your people are safe, and you're not enforcing this code because you're gonna get X amount of money from your school, or they're gonna get you a new fire truck, what that is called is quid pro quo. It may not be cash in hand, But if you do not properly do your duties of citizen safety, of enforcing these state laws, and they go to investigate, they see that you did get money here, but you didn't ensure citizen safety here, that is malfeasance. That is willful negligence. That is a felony. And especially if someone dies or someone is harmed because of an after effect. So, say they get lithium poisoning, which by the way, is documented to be more than 18 miles out. So everybody's heard of Moss Landing at this point. Not the same type of battery, that's irrelevant. What is relevant is in Monterey Bay where that fire occurred, more than 15 miles out in Prunedale, California, a woman tested positive for lithium poisoning in her blood after the fact. Okay, 18 miles out, lithium poisoning. It wasn't nickel, nickel, cobalt, or any of that, magnesium. It was specifically lithium poisoning in her blood, more than 15 miles out in Prunedale, okay? So if that happens, and say she dies from this, who is liable for that? Who did ensure that there were proper safety measures in place? The state law of Texas makes it very clear who's responsible for these bills. So I'm not trying to scare you. It isn't a fear-mongering thing. The facts are the facts. The facts don't care about feelings. And that's just the bottom line. And the reality is the Attorney General, the Department of War, the Governor of Texas, and Department of Justice does not operate in fear-mongering. They operate on facts. And if they say a company has a monopoly and a corner on an industry and they are a national security threat, I say believe them. And additionally, in that governor's executive order, you're gonna see where it actually states in there that they are doing this. They're not in these entities to collect your data, get your social security or your money. They are in there, and it's directly quoted in that document, to cause real world harm, to break your will to resist. CCP uses civil military fusion, everyday civil things, for military purposes. What does that look like? If you weaken the grid and you place toxic bombs, more than 1,000 across Texas, you may remember Reagan said that we won the war on the back of oil, of Texas, okay? If you diminish the oil production and you push unreliable intermittent energy with Band-Aid batteries that keep them afloat, we're looking at Winter Storm Fern. We got through because of the batteries. What happens if it's a worse storm and CCP shuts it down? Not only they shut it down, they close off the inverter and it starts to loop. What does that do? When it starts to cycle, it overheats. You now have a battery bomb. Or what if you activate the safety system before it's supposed to? This happened in 2021 Moss Landing. Most people don't know that that happened. What happened is the fire suppression system activated at the wrong time and sprayed water on a lithium battery, which causes it to off-gas and go into runaway, which is explosive. There is more than one way to activate a battery into a bomb. And there's more than 1,000 controlled by an enemy to America. And to promote this and get this information out there, because most of the people don't know what they don't know. You have to educate them. They don't know this. They don't operate in the same circles that I do. And I suggest that you watch Van Zandt County on Wednesday, because I'm going to be providing those two-letter experts in reference to this that explain this in much greater detail. One of which is from the cyber expert in the Hall of Fame for International Cybersecurity, who ran the Electric Power Research Institute for over 15 years, who worked at GE Nuclear, and who still testifies in Congress today. The other is actually written patents in operational technology. He is the leading expert, subject matter expert, on the Iberian-Spain blackout. And once again, they will break down how this is a vulnerability. So what does the Attorney General need? And this is why this is key, because I know that they already have these documents and it's already in motion. The way the Lone Star Infrastructure Protection Act is written, it states that the Attorney General is the investigating agency. They determine, is this a real threat? Those letters, by the way, support that it is. It's already in motion, okay? Then, after that, they confirm it, what happens? You just activated the Department of War into the state of Texas. Texas holds the key to protect the nation. And if you haven't heard it yet, where Texas goes, the nation will follow. We have the ability to stand up for Texas, for our people, and for our nation, because we actually hold laws that no other state holds, because we got them passed in the '89 legislation. The reason these experts are willing to help us is because they see that we hold the key. And to go a step further, the Department of War wrote an article, a report, November 2025. It's called The Fox and the Hen House. It's exactly what you think it is about the CCP. I recommend everyone read it. What I specifically find interesting is that it mentions the Department of War's National Security Prohibited List, which is what CATL's on. And they actively acknowledge that they have technology, they do not have proactive approaches to stop collaboration with these entities right now. Texas holds that key through the Lone Star Infrastructure Protection Act, the Texas Cyber Command, and the recent passing of Senate Bill 75 by Senator Bob Hall, which activates investigation into critical infrastructure, who I have the honor and privilege of working very closely with, which is who I'm working with on the Attorney General investigation, who will be in my commissioner court on Wednesday to support Van Zandt County in this moratorium, along with the investigator from the Attorney General's office. It is what it is, guys. Like, it's not, I'm not trying to be mean, I'm not trying to tell you what to do with your property. I'm just saying, when you're looking at people, you're looking at the people around your town, look at the future generations. Do what you want, but at the same time, make sure it's done right. Make sure your people are safe, make sure that you're not putting them in a compromising position because of financial gain here or whatever it may be there. The law is non-negotiable, and when it comes to citizen safety, that shouldn't be either. And I know it's a lot in a very short time, I am aware, but I wanted to make sure I got it in the 30 minutes. And I'm not trying to overwhelm you, and I can provide you any additional contacts or resources. If you'd like, I can get you their emails or phone numbers, or I can have them call you directly. I have no problem making those connections. With that, now that I probably threw it way too much at you, is there any questions that you'd like me to answer or you might have? That's okay. If you don't have any or you think of any, you can reach me. I don't mind providing that later. It's a lot to mull over, I understand. But I wanted you to be informed because the reality is, this isn't about private property rights. This isn't about trying to control your neighbor. This isn't about any of the other stuff. It comes down to citizen safety in reference to evacuation or first responders, what they're doing, because when they respond to this, they look it up, this is documented. When they respond, you think that your county doesn't have a lot of money now. What happens when your volunteer fire department or your fire department has to destroy their gear? Who's replacing that? Because if it happens, if a fire occurs, you have to send that off to decontamination. And 99% of the time, I haven't found a case yet where they haven't, but I'm gonna be lenient, I'm gonna say 99% of the time they have to destroy that gear. And if they have to destroy it, who is replacing it? And additionally, you can't have them out there with their arm showing because lithium doesn't go through breathing, it touches your skin and it's in you, okay? So protect your first responders, protect your people, and just do the research. Like, I'm giving you a lot of good starting points. I can connect you with whoever you'd like. Again, I don't mean to overwhelm you, but I just want to make sure that y'all have a good starting point because at the end of the day, I don't do this because I'm paid. I do this because I love my country and I love my state and I'm a Texas first gal. And I want to make sure that my children, my future generation, my land is not infringed upon safety-wise because of someone else's monetary gain. So, if you have any questions, please just reach out. I'd be happy to answer them.
Okay. Thank you, Mel.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, item number 9, any other public comments today? Yes, ma'am.
I just have some questions. So we've been involved in Menard for like the past year. We've moved our family over here, that type of stuff, and there's things that I've noticed. And there's a little bit of a division within the town. And one of the questions I have is, I understand like safety concerns and stuff like that, but at what point does something become personal versus actually like, I think some of the people have lost sight of what the big picture is. Because myself, he's been kicked off all the grades. I have 38 different screenshots of where I've asked questions on your group anyway. I've asked questions to you, Susan, Jane. I don't even know your face, but I've asked questions and it's deleted. So it's like any time that there's anything informational wise that anybody has to say that is against what y'all have to say, it's like y'all don't want the public to know. Y'all are all about community and wanting everything what's best for it, but when it comes down to it, why are our questions not allowed to be asked? Where is our voice in this? Penny, you put a comment out the other day and you said it's nothing but crickets. Every time with everybody that is for it, with the sellers of the land, that it's crickets. It's not. You have made it to where they don't have a voice. And then you go on Facebook and you put things like saying people need to get their rabies shots, which is childish. Do what?
Can you put it in the newspaper?
The newspaper has not received a single email from anybody asking for anything to be put in. There's an email where y'all can put, you know, like, what y'all want to have a call. It's never been done yet.
What questions do you have?
Hey, I'm sorry, this is one at a time, and
So then on
give
top of
everybody an
that-
opportunity to speak.
So on top of that, with the best facility and stuff like that, my question to you, Nancy,
Yeah.
is with everything, like, how did you get involved in this for one? And I went to your last meeting and it's like the same thing over and over and over. It's always Moss Landing. Can you tell me today, right here, how many bus stations are in the United States that are built? Go ahead.
In Texas, there's more than
No.
300. I
Okay,
focus on
I said-
Texas.
I said in the United States.
I don't focus on the other grids. I focus on Texas. There's
But
more
you
than
care
300.
But you're an expert. You're
care about your
not
land.
You're an expert. You should know how many are in the United
you do.
States.
I can get that answer for you by the end of the day.
Okay,
How
well,
many
how many-
caught fire in Texas?
In Texas alone, more than 12, just in
Okay,
2025.
what is that percentage?
Out of.
Cause I can tell you about the United
So
States.
let me reformat your question. So you're asking.
No,
what the
you're not
percentage-
gonna reformat
Okay,
that
well,
question.
if you'd like to have a discussion outside of Commissioner Court, I'd be happy to discuss that.
No,
you
we're
answer
going
it.
with right now.
All right.
You were talking too, you need to quit.
All right, everybody,
Okay, everybody hang on, one at a time, please.
Okay.
Please.
ma'am, you have about a minute left, you have a maximum of 5 minutes, and if you want to continue the
Please
debate
answer
or
my
back and
question.
forth, you guys can do that outside of court.
And he
Please
says,
answer my question. If you're an expert,
outside of court, like he said, I will happily do so.
see, she has no answer for y'all. If you wanna know, in the United States, in over a decade's time.
Yeah.
So before, because I.
But if you look at it, you have more of a chance of getting in your car and leaving here and getting in a car accident that happens every 2 to 3 minutes, or a car fire.
Doesn't exempt following state law.
So then what about the slander, the public slander?
Am I slandering somebody?
What about public slander that you allow in your group?
I don't think I've allowed any public.
You definitely
slander.
have,
You have.
Can I read?
Your time's up, we can
Thank
move on. Anyone else under public comment?
You said I could rebuttal.
I did not say you
The
can
judge
rebuttal.
said I
You
could
can-
rebuttal.
You can have a 5-minute spell like
The
anybody
judge
else.
said I could rebuttal. Are you the judge? I have an
I'm
email. Are you the judge? Corbin?
I'm sorry?
Are you Judge Corbin?
I am.
I have an email where you said I could rebuttal Ms. Eggleston's.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
If you'd like to do that at this point, would you like to be sworn in before you make your statement?
That is entirely okay with me because I want it on record because she went on record.
Okay.
Mhm.
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, sir, absolutely.
Okay, you may proceed.
So, I'm just gonna read it. My name is Nancy White. I was advised by Judge Corbin that I am allowed to present a rebuttal to the letter of the county clerk, Christy Eggleston, that was entered into the record. Her letters contain significant omissions, mischaracterizations, and a failure to acknowledge the full sequence of events surrounding my request to be placed on the January 12th, 2026 Commissioner Court agenda for a 30-minute PowerPoint presentation on battery energy storage and grid security issues. Here's what actually happened. On Friday, January 2nd, Susan Williamson sent Clerk Eggleston a clear, detailed text request to add me to the agenda. The message was described, the presentation, the Q&A portion, and my relevant credentials. And at 4:34 p.m. that same day, Clerk Eggleston responded enthusiastically, "Happy New Year. Yes, ma'am, I can do that." She also agreed to check the monitor hookup when she returned to work on Monday. At no point did she mention any deadlines, the need to set for a separate email to the judge, or any concern about a PowerPoint. On Tuesday, January 6th, she called me at 3:01 p.m. and instructed me to email Judge Corbin, which I did within the hour. She asked if I would have a PowerPoint. I confirmed I would prepare and send one by Friday for the court the following week. She never said I was not on the agenda. When I ended the call with "see you next week," there was no correction or warning. On Wednesday, January 7th, I received an email from the judge stating that I could not be added because the request came after the agenda was finalized. Confused, I called Clerk Eggleston, and at 1:01 p.m. for an explanation, she blamed the PowerPoint. I immediately said I would have happily presented without it if she had told me earlier. I was frustrated, my tone was stern, and I said I was perturbed, but I did not yell, no similar to right now, no different than right now. She repeatedly accused me of yelling, said she would not be spoken to that way, attempted to hang up, and then went silent. I calmly asked if she was still in the line, and she confirmed, and I reiterated that her handling of the matter was unprofessional. After receiving no resolution, I posted publicly about the experience. A response from Clerk Eggleston's teenage daughter appeared threatening and demanded that I take the post down. Shortly afterward, the clerk placed her one-sided letter into the official record. In summary, Clerk Eggleston provided premature assurance without disclosing critical requirements, failed to communicate essential information during follow-up, and did not correct clear misunderstandings, and then shifted blame when the request was denied. This could have been resolved with straightforward, timely communication and basic accountability. Placing her letter into the record, especially after a family-related social media exchange, raises legitimate concerns about retaliation rather than good faith resolution. I respectfully request that this rebuttal be entered into the official record and that the court review and strengthen agenda addition procedures so other residents do not face same confusion and frustration. One last key point of concern I have on this issue is that Judge Corbin emailed my judge in Van Zandt County, further misrepresenting this event and the circumstances around it. Thank you for your time and attention, and I'll be happy to answer any questions and provide you screenshots of all the evidence stated in this letter.
Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
I don't know about the rest of it, you've got plants 2,000 feet that way they wanna put in. My motel sits right over here. You know, 12 out of 300 is not very good odds of me and all my people getting killed. Or ran out or forced. What about the nursing home? What about the school system? Are you guys prepared, if you vote for abatement, to help these guys come in? Are you prepared to, how much money do you have for us, is all I can say. It's personal to me, you know? I'm 2,000 feet from it. I put about 35 years of my life into that motel. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'm Ryan Hopkins. I'm here with Ms. Jane Gainer. I represent her as a consultant on behalf of her land interests that are potentially affected by the Bell County East, the Big Hill 765 kilovolt transmission line. I appreciate that there are people here addressing the best, and I don't want to step on anybody's toes, but I'm from Burnett County, and I've been kind of tracking the news in Menard County for the last 5 or 6 months, and I haven't really seen a lot of development in terms of addressing the line. And I'm not saying there hasn't been, I just haven't seen a lot of public address, especially in the Commissioner's Court, maybe some of the local papers. These lines are set to go to the PUC for designation sometime in March. It was already delayed 3 months, supposed to go in December. They're just to file with the PUC, but the CCN amendments are coming in March. And these lines are a first time thing in Texas. 765 kilovolts is no joke. I mean, these are 200-foot tall towers as high as they can get without triggering FAA regulations that will require marker lights. They may actually get to that point. I expect that they will out here in these areas where it's not rural. They're gonna have at least a 200-foot right of way. Some of these 765 kV lines get up to 300, 400 foot, even 500 foot wide right of ways. Encore and LCRA are filing jointly on this project. As of now, this area will be run by LCRA, and then down from Temple, getting close to this direction will be Encore. I just want to bring it to the attention of the court in hopes that this can be set as a regular agenda item, especially considering that these meetings are only held once a month, and we're coming up on March when that CCN is going to be filed. There's 4 potential routes in Menard County from which they'll choose this line. I don't know what the general perspective is on this. If people do want it, they don't want it. I know that Ms. Gainer certainly does not want it over there, and I think it would mean a lot if the court would address this issue and bring some of these details to light, especially if you've had ongoing conversations with any of the utilities or the PUC or any of their representatives or attorneys. In Burnett County, we're working on filing a Texas 391 commission or forming one. We'll see how that goes. I heard that was recommended here, but I don't really know any of the details. I bring that up, everybody can do their own research, but I think it is a good idea to look into, especially considering the best, because it could be a multifaceted approach, especially considering that the impacts are very similar. And the 765, you think there's one best now, there's 4 best stations that are proposed in Burnett County right now, that are in the ERCOT queue. This 765 is gonna facilitate best data centers. I mean, it opens up a huge can of worms, and if those are not regulated carefully, it'll get out of hand before you know it. As a matter of fact, I guarantee you there's third-party renewable energy companies, data center companies, BEST, that are already reaching out to individuals in Menard County. I know they are in Burnett County, Williamson County, Bell County, Llano County, preemptively going to these proposed routes and buying easements for transmission for their POCO or their point of interconnection sites. So I think this is something that everybody should really have on their radar, because while BEST is something that needs to be immediately addressed, this is gonna come real fast. Thanks.
Thanks, sir. All right.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
So I know you're hearing a lot of information and stuff, and I just hope you guys do your due diligence. And I ask that you do your due diligence on this and make an informed decision about putting our community at any type of risk, whether it's minimal or not. It is a risk, and I ask that you really take that into consideration into our safety of our community and for our well-being.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I just wanna let y'all know we are taking every class I can grab at the fire station. Everything we can take, we're taking, we're signing up for. We are getting ahead of it. I've said before publicly that, speaking on behalf of the fire department, that I'm not scared of this thing. I'm not scared of the river either. And, on July 4th, we saw what it can do. And we as a fire department handled. We rescued 131 people. Nobody lost their lives. We can handle this. I really feel confident in that. I'd like to say that it has gotten personal.
Absolutely.
I do not appreciate, what people have to say on Facebook when I'm easily found. And at 4 o'clock in the morning when it's 7 degrees outside, y'all can gladly join me at a house fire anytime you want. I got hoses that can be rolled. But we are doing everything that I can find for us to do to get ahead of it. That's all.
Thank you, Chief.
I'm Paula Wright, and I just wanted to say that I appreciate the commissioners for listening, taking it all into consideration, and also the fire department. And I have confidence that you will see that the regulations are followed, and we're not going to just assume that every company will take shortcuts. And I appreciate that.
Any other public comment? Last call. All right, is there any other business before the court today? All right, hearing none, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
It's Friday, I was up at 5:30. I was in the principal's office. I turned my radio down. We did. Showed up, picked the kids up, and one of them piece of paper that said you can't do that. And they started throwing I don't want to go back to that. I usually there's black bags and I don't think we have a I have trouble staying quiet.